It's time to get back to basics by building a base. We're getting started right now. Okay, welcome back to the channel. If you've been following along, you know that we're in the middle of building the Rat Strat, my son's first electric guitar, rebuilding that. But I ran into a bit of a snag with, I need a nut before I can put the neck back on, set the bridge up and everything, and I'm waiting for the nut to come. So in the meantime, I'm doing two things that I haven't done before. One is work on another project while I'm in the middle of one. And the second is building a bass. Well, my son got me this nice P-bass body for Christmas. He also got me a beautiful pick guard, which I'm not going to show you right now, and knobs and some different hardware. And I got this neck to put on it. And this is different than what I'm used to working with too. This is a gloss finish. Pretty nice, it's smooth, the frets are pretty decent on it. It's got these nice black fret markers. I really like it. The problem is, it does not fit into the neck. The neck pocket has not been routed quite deeply enough. Did some measurements on here, and it's about 1 millimeter too narrow on either side, about 2 millimeters altogether. So what I have to do is take 1 millimeter off of this side, 1 millimeter off of this side, and the neck should fit in there snugly, and then we can just move forward from there. So that's where we're going with this particular video. All right. One of the problems with building guitars from kit parts and individual parts like this is they're routed to basic specifications. Sometimes they're off a little, sometimes they're too big. Generally, the neck pocket that I've run into have been too big and they need to be shimmed. This is the opposite. This one's not big enough and it needs to be opened up a bit more. I have pickups for this, haven't tried those yet in here, so we might have additional work to do. But this is a beautiful body, and I want to get this routed out. Now there are a couple ways to go about this. I could use my Dremel and just go in here and try to grind off 1 millimeter. I can use chisels and scrape some material off, which is, I think what I'm going to start with is using the chisel. The thing is, I don't want to take too much off. Millimeters, not that much. So I'm just going to really kind of lightly just shave some of this wood off. You need really sharp chisels to do this. Mine are pretty sharp. I'm not using a lot of pressure here because I don't want to gouge it. Don't want to dig too deeply. I want to keep everything kind of smooth. So just go in just a little bit at a time with just the lightest amount of pressure on there. I still have to get out here to the end. I have to be careful because I don't want to mess up this rounded edge. Chiseling wood is a bit challenging. You have to develop a feel for it. You don't want to angle your chisel up too far because you'll dig in too deeply. But if you don't dig in enough, you won't do anything except slide the edge back and forth across the wood, which is counterproductive. Alright, so there's a little bit off of there, and you can see it's not quite as smooth as it was when I started, but we can fix that with sanding. Really want to make sure I get this end done here. I'm going to take some off of this side as well. Same type of process. Not as much room to work here. Basically, now the one thing that's really impossible to tell when you start something like this is, did I need to take material off of both sides, or could I have done one side? Well, I can't really tell that because I can't fit the neck inside the pocket. So by taking a little bit off of each side, might be able to tell once we can get it in here. Okay, just eyeballing this. I got a lot to go. So what I'm going to do is keep working at this and take a little bit more off each side, then I'll come back and we'll see if we can get it to fit. Okay. I moved up to a bigger size chisel, make things a little easier. But yeah, that's something you have to be careful of too. Bigger size chisel, take more wood off. But anyway, I kept working a little bit off this side, a little bit off this side. And the result is I got a fairly snug fit of my neck pocket now. As you can see up here, there's a bit of a very fine gap there at the top, which means it's a little bit tighter at the bottom than the top. And I'm just going to go through with some, because this is good when you can hold the guitar up by the neck when it's not attached. That's a pretty good snug fit. And I didn't lose too much in here. Not perfectly flush, but I do believe this is going to work. Now what I want to do is sand this a little bit in here. With some 180. I'm just going to gently sand this. I'm putting the paper down into this groove at the bottom and my thumb's against, and I'm just going to kind of start there. Try to smooth things out a little bit. The only problem is these corners doesn't exactly line up perfectly at the corners. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a little bit of a gap there. Don't know if that's something that the pick guard's going to cover. I'll have to check that out, but it just that little bit of sanding seemed to help. To try to make these pieces, these edges smooth. It's better to go a little bit at a time. I could have done this with the Dremel. This is another thing I could do with the Dremel tool, but it has a tendency to take away a lot of material quickly if you're not careful. And that's the last thing I want to do, is take away too much. Try to sand a little of that smoothness back into these corners here. That's a little better. Still have a gap there, but it's nothing too serious. So I'm going to continue to do a little bit more sanding with some 180 and then some 220 to really smooth this out. And then we'll come back and look at the fitting again. Okay, some more sanding. What I did was take a small block of wood, wrap the sandpaper around it, so I have some good square edges here, and went in here along this bottom part, tried to smooth this all out evenly. A little bit on this side, across the back, smooth the bottom off, brush that out of there. What I did was probably go a little bit too far because this is not as snug as it was. However, it does fit. The fit and finished look to it at the bottom and the top is much better. So I'm not really worried about that. There's no real play in it. It's just a much smoother slide into the pocket there. So I'm pretty happy with that. So the next thing we're going to do in the next video will be to get this neck mounted on here, drill the holes so everything matches up, and once that's done, then we can measure everything up to mount the bridge, pickups, and go from there. All right, so that's it. Part one of the P-Base build. Project P-Base. Alright, so we have our neck pocket shaved and sanded out, about 1 millimeter on each side, to allow our P-Base neck in here. And we will be able to mount this sucker in the next video, and then we can check out how the pickups fit, where the bridge goes in, and the pick guard. Doing the neck first, the neck is going to be bolted into place, so it's going to be stable and stationary, and then everything else can be adapted to there. If I would try to take the pick guard, now I did put the pick guard on with the neck here, and it is going to need some adjustment to the pick guard. I'm going to have to take a little material off here and there to get it to cover everything properly. Because that's the other thing, when you buy these things separately, and doesn't have holes drilled for the pick guard or anything. It is routed for these P-Base pickups, but up here at the neck, probably going to have to do a little work on the pick guard in order for everything to line up and cover the control cavity on the pickups properly. But that's down the line. First thing we need to do is get this neck on. And so tune in next time. Thanks for watching. And next time we'll mount this neck. Project P-Base Part 2.